to another episode of the Wrestling Wives. We are really excited today because we have a special guest.
Yes, very excited. We always say we're excited, but we really are.
Yeah, we really are excited.
Really excited. And so we have on the podcast today, her name is Jenna, but at first I was referring to her as the Real Matt Wives lady. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Jenna, the Real Matt wife. I am from Houston, Texas. I've got 2 kiddos who wrestle. We're in the world of youth wrestling. So high school wrestling is kind of like a new thing for me, getting used to. I know you guys talk a lot about high school wrestling and NCAA. It's like a new world for me. But we've been in the youth wrestling world for about 6 years now.
So is your how many kids do you have?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm like,
You're good.
No, you're fine.
I do know how many kids I have. I have 2. So I have a daughter. She's 13. Her name's Remy, and my son is 11. His name's Will.
Okay.
Okay. So is your daughter? Does Texas do like level or divisions? Do they have? Is she in the senior division?
They don't have levels. It's like U14, U12, U10, and then they're called like, D1, D2, D3, D4, or G1, G2, G3, G4. But there's no, I've heard people say like Bantam and all these other names and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what any of those are. My daughter's 13.
Yeah. I think almost that's easier because USA Wrestling is like 14U, 12U, 10U. So for Illinois, like you could be, my son was a 10U this summer. No, he was 8U. No, he's wrestling 10U, but he's also a Bantam, which Bantams are 8Us. So it's like a little confusing when they like overlap, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Texas, this is
Yes.
our first like out of state
Yeah.
guest, so we're so excited. And I don't even know how we found you on Instagram. So I think one of our guests, Emily, she forwarded us one of your reels, and it was hilarious. And so I'm like, oh, she's awesome. So then we followed you, and then I don't even know like how we got to talking, but then you're on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited.
I know. I was thinking that. I was driving home from work today, and I was like, how did I get to know these ladies? But yeah, I think it was probably one of the reels. I don't even know how we ended up in each other's like DMs chatting about stuff. But now I've been like listening to your podcast. I'm so excited about what you guys are doing. Yeah. I'm like, you ride home with me on the way home from work. I just listen to you guys chit-chatting. So I feel like we're friends.
Yeah, I love that.
That's cool.
Exactly like why we wanted to do it too. We wanted to like reach out to people and make them feel like a community and a friendship. You know what I mean? So I'm so happy that you're saying that. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. So.
Yeah. And then I feel like, I know we talked about this in our podcast before, but the focus is all on the wrestlers and the coaches, which it should be because they're the ones out there. But like, what about us?
Yeah.
You know, what about the moms, the grandmas, the coaches' wives? Like, it's just as intense in a different way for all of us,
Yep.
Like you were talking about I think like on your stories the other day about like the insurance for like USA Wrestling. And I'm like, only a mom would know that.
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't know it at first, but my daughter got hurt like 2 years ago. She sprained her MCL. It was like the biggest injury she had since that. Like it was the only injury we had dealt with since starting wrestling, and it was kind of huge for her because it took her out of the season for, I don't know, like 8 weeks, and it was crazy at the start of the season. She's like, this is my year. Like, I'm going to do great. And then she sprains her MCL, and I mean, that was a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then we dealt with that. And then the next year, oh my gosh, the next year at the very start of the season, she did a Super 32 qualifier.
Okay.
So she always wrestles up in age. And so she like killed it. She beat all the juniors, all the seniors, and she was 12 at the time. So she won the Super 32 qualifier. And she's like, Mom, I jammed my finger when I was wrestling, like my first match. And I'm like, that's all right. We take her to the doctor that week. She broke her hand. Like she broke her knuckle. So we're paying for that. That took her out of the start of that season.
Yeah.
So 2 seasons in a row, she like started with having, well, she was in a cast that one, but like it was 6 to 8 weeks recovery at the start of both seasons. And then that same season that she broke her knuckle, she went to Tulsa Nationals,
Mhm.
and broke her foot.
Oh my gosh.
So we were in the middle of like lots of bills for
Mhm.
Yeah.
medical stuff. And it wasn't until after she broke her foot, my coach was like, well, not my coach, but our coach was like, I think USA Wrestling has a secondary insurance. And I was like, what? This would have been helpful to know 2 years ago, but I put in all the paperwork and they gave me a good chunk of money, like, and they helped me figure it out because, of course, I didn't do it right the first time and
Yeah.
they needed extra paperwork. But then I got like several $100s back. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
So,
so
but like,
cool.
I want other people to know about it because I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool because you're like informing. Like you could have kept that to yourself, but you're like also informing
Yeah.
because. So my son last year broke his collarbone twice wrestling, and like I didn't know that. You
No.
know, we had to pay for. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't have surgery or anything, but like
Still.
the X-rays, the visits, all that stuff. So good to know because
Yeah.
my kids are young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the timing for like when they'll cover it, it was up to like a certain like maybe a year or so after. Like if you submit all this stuff, and as long as it's in wrestling, doesn't even have to be at like a USA Wrestling event
Okay.
because Tulsa Nationals wasn't USA Wrestling, so it was WOW, and they still covered it.
Yeah.
Huh.
So good to know. That is good to know out there, everyone.
So one of the questions we like to ask our guests is, how did you enter into the world of wrestling?
By chance. Well, not by chance, really. I shouldn't even say that. So, Remy, my daughter, played soccer. My husband and I had no concept of wrestling. Like, we went to high school together. We're high school sweethearts. So, we remember seeing the wrestlers, like, not eating at lunch. And my husband was a baseball player. He said he, like, never wanted to wrestle because he didn't want to wear the singlets and stuff, whatever. And so we got Remy into soccer. She was doing soccer, and on the sideline, well, Remy was like super aggressive on the soccer field. And I was on the sidelines one day, and like this other soccer mom like leans over to me, and she's like, "Do you think your daughter would want to wrestle my daughter?" And I was like, "Is this like a fight club we're
Yeah.
starting in the parking lot, like after soccer practice? Like we're just gonna arrange this?" And she's like, "No, we have a wrestling club." And I was like, I don't know. We're not like in wrestling. We've never wrestled, but like I'll try because I really liked this lady. And she's like, well, she seems like she'd be really good. And then she'll stop getting like yellow carded on the soccer field or whatever. Um, and so I was like, well, we'll try and we'll see, but it's up to Remy if she likes it. And we went to the first practice, and I don't think we've ever stopped. Like she has gone to every single
Aw.
practice since then. The only time she's missed was when she got hurt, and that was like really, really hard for her. So we got into it because like one brave mom
Yeah.
Yeah.
saw something special in my daughter and like knew, wow. And now like 6 years in, I realize like you can see it in kids when you know like, wow, they would probably really like wrestling. But I'm just like super thankful that I didn't know her super well. You know, we were just soccer moms together, but
Yeah.
she like took a risk and invited me to her small little wrestling club, and it's literally like changed my daughter's life. Like my daughter wants to be a wrestling coach.
Aw.
She loves this sport so much.
I love that.
Yeah, that's so my husband is a coach and my kids also play flag football in the summer, and he literally sits on the sideline and is like, that guy'd be a good wrestler. She'd be a good wrestler. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you recruiting?" He's like, "No, but you can see it." Like you said, you can like see it. I mean anyone can wrestle, right? Like it's for everyone, but like
Yeah.
there's a certain type of kid that like thrives more, I feel
Mhm.
like. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I will look at pictures of my daughter like when she first started, and I think I have a picture of her like first tournament. Her shoulders are all like up, and she had been crying, and she like looks timid. And I mean, you guys have been on my Instagram page, so you see like I post her all over the place. Like it was life changing for her. Like
Mm.
she's the most confident girl. I'm like, I couldn't have taught that because I'm like this introverted, not super confident person. I don't know how you teach a young girl to be confident and just be like,
Yeah.
like this is I know who I am and I mean
Yeah.
business. Like she was yelling at boys today in school who tried to steal her bubble gum.
Oh my gosh. We love that. So, and then your son just loved it as well, or like, is your son like just?
Well, so Remy started when she was 8 and Will was like 5 at the time. And so he just did it because a 5-year-old boy, like, if we're gonna be at this wrestling club, you might as well run circles and get some energy out. And so he was kind of just there to do it with Remy because Remy did it. And then I think it was, I don't even remember. Remy was like 10 or 11, and she started winning some stuff more consistently. And that's when Will was like, you know what? I think I want to take this seriously. And you guys know, for boys it's so different. Like, the boy side of wrestling is so competitive. There's
Oh,
so many boys. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
with Remy, there's not as many girls. So I don't want to. It's not easier, right?
No,
But
no.
it's just different. Her
Yeah.
brackets, she's lucky if she has 8 girls. I mean, if she has 8 girls, it's like a miracle.
Okay.
She's lucky, honestly, if she has like 2 or 3 girls her weight and her size. But then Will goes to a tournament and it's like, you're 90 pounds and you've got a bracket of 16 kids, and you'll
Yeah.
be lucky not to go 0-2. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of realizing that with him, but he's starting to really love it. So we'll see.
How old is he? Did you say?
He's 11.
Oh,
11.
okay. Yeah. Oh, 11, I feel like is a tough
Yeah.
age for wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Kids are like
Yeah.
their bodies are changing at that time. So
Yeah.
like some people are going probably like a little bit faster in that
Yeah.
than others, and that's hard.
Yeah. He just like shot up. He's super tall. So
Okay.
at his most recent tournament, our coach was like, his stance has completely changed just from adding
Oh.
like a couple inches in height. And we're like, why the heck are kids like picking your knee like straight from your stance? Right off the whistle, they're grabbing his knee and then he goes down. And the coach is like, well, his whole stance needs to change
Mm.
because he's shot up and he
Yeah.
doesn't literally know what to do with his legs now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting. A little bit of a sidebar, but tell us about Texas wrestling. So, no offense to Texas. I know Texans are proud to be Texans.
Yeah.
But when I think about wrestling, I don't necessarily think about Texas.
No.
So tell me about like the vibe there.
Yeah, so we are not originally from Texas. We
Oh.
started wrestling up in Connecticut.
Okay.
And then we moved to Texas. So I mean, we've been down here for almost 4 years and we've wrestled the whole time. But I know it's like growing. It's
Okay.
definitely getting bigger. Um, we went to the Tulsa duels, the freestyle duels over the summer with some 14U girls team and like junior teams, and our 14U girls team, we were pretty good. So
Oh,
like,
that's awesome.
don't count Texas out. But it's definitely on the like growing side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Texas is a big state, so I
Yeah.
feel like it could be like a powerhouse. I mean, I don't know anything about like trends or anything, but I think Texas was at the Illinois duels that we were at.
Yeah, they
Or
were.
Not Illinois,
Just the national
the
duels,
national
the
duels for the
16U.
boys. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were there. I feel like so.
We kind of
Yeah,
touched
we
on
probably were.
Yeah.
We don't like we're more in the girls side of things just because Remy's like bigger into it than our son is right now. But I think that I'm sure they sent a boys team up there. But people will know who Texas is eventually.
Oh, 100%. We talked about that a little bit on the episode last week, like Arkansas and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were talking about like southern states.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think about wrestling in the southern states, but I'm loving that we're hearing about it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's growing, and
Yeah.
that's really exciting for the sport. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Exactly. I think that like football is so big down here. And football was never big for me. And like my husband was a baseball player. I rode horses. So like football
Oh,
is
cool.
not even on my radar. But I think most Texans, like football is their thing. And
Yeah.
so I'd say it's kind of easy to be like, well, if you want to be better at football, you should get yourself into a wrestling club in the
Right.
off season. And some people understand that and other people don't, and they just want to focus on football. So it's kind of split, but I feel like it's an easy in if people understand that everything you learn in wrestling helps you become a better football player.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
We our town, like we live in a small town, and football is big in our town. So I
Yeah.
feel like we can kind of relate to that. So a lot of our high school wrestlers are also football players.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we get you there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a wrestling mom. So why, or tell us how you started the Real Matt Wives account.
It was kind of one of those things that I think we were at the national duels I was with my two like wrestling mom friends, the coach's wife and one of our other good friends. And if you hear my dogs, I'm sorry, I hear them barking.
No, it's fine. I didn't know if it was the
Um,
camera. I was like, what was that noise? We get it. We got Willow.
Okay. And we were at there and we were like talking about all the stuff that happens over the season. And I'm like, oh my gosh, sometimes I feel like wrestling is like, could be its own reality TV show. Like,
Yes.
not even on the mat. Like, the crazy stuff that happens at tournaments and these crazy parents, and it's probably me too. But I'm like, there is so much drama. And so it's like the real mat wives of wrestling. And so that's where like the idea of it came from. And I initially, I know, because I know that you
She
said
loves
you said something
Bravo.
about the Real Housewives. Okay.
That just clicked in my
And
head. I hope you know that. That just clicked. That's why I was like, even more.
Okay, but don't hate me because I don't watch the Real
It's okay.
Housewives, but
It's
I
okay.
understand the gist of it. So I was like, it's got to be the same thing. And I swear, if there was a camera crew following along with wrestling families throughout the season, we could have our own reality like channel. I know we could. So
100%.
that's where that idea came from. And it was kind of just like I was thinking I would just share the crazy. Like, I can't be alone in the crazy because I might be the problem if I'm alone in the crazy. And then it kind of morphed the more I started sharing, and then the more I started like talking about, the injuries we've been through and talking about the struggle of like making weight with your kids and navigating all that stuff. And like, I get so many messages from people being like, thank you so much. Like, my daughter was really struggling to make weight this weekend, and I used one of your tips, and like, she's good. And then, so it now has become something where I'm like, I'm super excited to share the stuff that I've learned in the past 6 years, that, and my dogs, but like things that I wish I had learned sooner, and things that I probably learned the hard way. I'm hoping that I can help one person not learn it the hard way, and to grow the sport. I love this sport so much, and I never thought in a million and 1 years that this is what my daughter would like want to do with her life.
Yeah.
But it is, and she's a different person because of it, and so I just want to like be all in.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's cool. I was telling Mara that I think when I first started following you, you had a lot of followers, but like recently, like it like took off, and I was like, that's so exciting. Like, I love it for the sport. Like, not like jealous, like not like, oh, but like that's so cool. Like, how cool for other moms, like, other kids, sports,
Yeah.
husbands. Like, I feel like husbands sometimes with their wives or their, if they're coaches or with like the wives of, the mom or whatever, but they struggle to bring the mom in. But if they're like, look, like this, follow this lady, like she's funny. It's like, it's not all bad. Like, then it could bring them in as well. So I think that's awesome.
I think it's so funny that people say I'm funny because I tell my husband all the time, like, I'm the funniest person I know. And so now social media is really just like affirming, like, I am funny. People think I'm funny.
I love that for you.
See, I'm funny. That's so funny.
I know, it's like a life goal, but it's so funny. Like you said, like my husband now, he sends me videos from tournaments and he's like, this is great content for Mat Wives. Like some of the videos, I think the one that I posted of Will that like went viral. The craziest stuff goes viral.
Yeah.
We posted a video of Will like eating jelly packets because he had gone 0-2 at Tulsa Nationals, which is a whole nother like people got all upset about that one. But I'm like, we thought it was funny. Will thought it was funny. And my husband took a video and sent it to me and was like, wouldn't this be funny? So he sends me stuff now. He's like always checking my followers. He's like, you just hit 10,000. Like, we like celebrate together.
Yeah.
My kids will be like, Mom, this would be a great idea for Mat Wives. So it's been super fun. And like the growth was kind of crazy. I wasn't really expecting it. I've just been like making content for fun and for what I thought people would like. So the first couple reels that went viral, I was like super psyched about. Because that's like, if you're making content on Instagram, like that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think it's cool that you said that you feel like you're like you love the sport, and like nobody else would know and can relate to that but somebody else that loves the sport. So in my family nobody wrestles. Like I tell my sister like I love wrestling, but like I don't actually wrestle, but like I love the sport.
Yeah.
And that was only coming from being a coach's wife and from having my kids.
Yeah.
So only other people that would get it was other people that are there. Kind of like a cult, but like not like a cult, you know? Like you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
it's cool to share it. Like you can love it and not actually be out there wrestling or haven't wrestled in the past.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's awesome.
Yep.
I also wanted to note, like, once you're in it, don't you just feel like, I don't know, when I fully was like immersed into wrestling, I felt like a warm like community. Like everyone is just like you're in it together, you're there. It's so like how could you not fall in love with it? So I totally understand where you're coming from. Like I just love it. Like I love it cuz it is so, I don't know. It's so awesome.
Yeah. And it's cool because it changes people's lives. Like our kids and like you said, your kids or like my husband's. Like it's a life-changing sport. And I guess that could be said about a lot of sports, but I feel like wrestling in particular is special in some formal way.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's super special. And I think like some of my best friends are wrestling people. Like really, other than the people I work with, like my closest friends down here are my wrestling friends. And that's, we had always lived up in Connecticut, my husband and I, for 36 years.
Yeah.
And then moved to a completely different place. Don't know anyone. The only time I'd ever moved anywhere in my life, where I didn't know people. So the wrestling community, finding wrestling people, and like those are my best friends now, which is special. And they would do anything for me. They would do anything for my kids. Like I can send my kids to tournaments with these people and just trust that they're going to be good. Like my kids have the best experiences. I don't know. It is just life-changing. That's the only way to explain it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we want to get some tips from you wrestling mom, as a wrestling mom. So I've seen you post like things you bring to tournaments, but like if you could pick a few like tips to give other wrestling moms, what would you say or what would you give them?
That's a good question. I'm not going to lie though. So I feel like I'm not like that Pinteresty mom,
Okay.
I just grab my bag and go to the tournament. I feel bad. I recently saw another person post on Instagram about like this big old bog bag that they took to the tournament and all these cute little like zipper things, and these are my organic snacks that I pack for my kids, and I'm like, literally I grab the box of Quest bars and like dump it in my pocketbook and hope that it's enough. And that's I feel really bad. I've got this whole like wrestling Instagram, and my tips, I'm just kind of all over the place. My tips are like, do what it takes to survive.
I love
make
that.
Sure you have clippers in your bag, like, or bite your kids' nails off. I don't know. I'm not against biting my children's nails off. That's just so. Let me think of the top tips I would give. I pick Pedialyte up on the way to the wrestling, like to the weigh-in, because I don't plan ahead. I take stress gummies because I freak out so badly at tournaments.
I love it. But that's relatable. Not everyone is like a Pinterest mom. Like I try to pack ahead and like whatever. The other day I literally went to Target in the middle of my kids' match with Mara, and I was like, I literally have no snacks for them. So I did a Target pickup because
I have done the same exact thing. Usually I'll run out and I'll be like, oh, I'll grab this thing of body armor. I'll grab Uncrustables. Uncrustables, the kids love. For Christmas, this is a great tip for you guys. What you do is you buy the Uncrustable maker on Amazon and you set it on your kitchen counter. And then when you forget to buy bread to make it, you go to the store and buy Uncrustables.
So that's funny because I have the Uncrustable maker and I've never used it because I was like, I'm going to save money, loaf of bread versus 4 freaking Uncrustables is like $8. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. No, like the Uncrustables are better because they're frozen. You didn't have to make them. They're prepackaged. Like it's so much easier. So I'm with you.
That's like, I don't feel like I can give tips, I guess, just like general tips. I don't know. We've come up with some good tips for like helping Remy make weight, because that's a whole different thing with girls.
Sure.
Teenage girls making weight is a nightmare. So we found like tricks and tips for that, but in terms of like prepping for tournaments and stuff, I don't know. I just like, I pray that Remy has done her laundry and has a singlet that she can bring. And I hope someone remembered where they put their mouth guard, or I'm going to be running out to like Academy to go get one, which I've done. I've bought multiple mouth guards the morning of tournaments at Academy, praying that they were open in time. And then whatever Quest bars I dump in my bag. That's my.
That's so funny that you said that, because on our first episode, I was saying that I got my husband's clothes all washed and I packed his lunch for him. And I did do that. Like, I have done that, but I have really been slacking and feel like his laundry, I don't even know where it is half the time. I have not packed him a meal in I don't even know how many months, because I am pregnant. So like just packing me a lunch right now is like so much mind gymnastics of what am I gonna eat, like, and the stuff. So like it is really funny because like I am the same way right now. Like I am total Pinterest fail wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like I have all these ideas and I'm like no.
Yeah. I think it works when it works, and if it doesn't work, then you just like
Adapt,
adjust, and then like it's got to get done, and that's just it. Like it is.
Yeah, I'm like in survival mode most days. I work full time, I teach full time, and then I'm doing like social media stuff, and I'm getting the kids to wrestling. And I'm like, you know what? They don't care if I don't have a bag filled with like pre-made snacks. They're gonna go eat at concessions anyway. So I just try to like take off some of the guilt. We have mom guilt for so many other reasons anyway. I'm like, I just do what I can do, and it is what it is.
100%.
So hopefully that's encouraging to someone.
Yes,
it will be. I know it will be, because it's encouraging to me, and I'm not even a mom yet. So thank you for saying those words.
Yeah. In the little break, like between the camera or whatever, Mara was like, maybe my daughter will be a wrestler.
Yeah,
like
maybe she'll be
like,
interested. I don't know. Yeah.
Your daughter.
You should follow Remy. Remy is on Instagram too. You guys should follow her.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
Remy
we should.
Wrestles.
Yeah, and I think we were just talking to, like, we want to have you on for a whole other episode just to talk about girls wrestling.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're not in it right now.
No.
We have, like, one. Oh, it showed hearts? How did it do that? Oh, that was so fun. Oh, I love that. Like, we have a couple girls in wrestling, but, like, we're not super, like, I don't know, we're not like fully immersed in it yet. Like as a community, I would even say.
Yeah.
And we could do better with that. So I think that would be an amazing another conversation to have you back on.
Yes,
Definitely.
please, because I am like super passionate about that side of things. Like, and there's a whole nother set of issues, like if you have a daughter wrestling that you encounter. So I would do a whole nother session with you on just girl, and Remy could come too if you guys wanted.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So do you want to, we'll put all this stuff that you're about to say in the show notes and like in all this stuff, but do you want to like, if you could like plug all the, so just say your daughter's Instagram account again, and then all the stuff that you'd like people to know about you, to follow you and stuff.
Yeah, so Remy has her own like wrestling Instagram account. It's called Remy Wrestles. So that's where she posts all her cool accomplishments over there. And she actually last year wrote her own book. It's called Remy Wrestles. She was super passionate about telling people how she started, and really for the purpose of getting young girls interested in the sport, just because she knows how much it meant to her. She wanted to encourage young girls, like, 8 to 12 years old, to like try something new and be brave. So Remy Wrestles is like her story of how she got into it and the struggles she faced leading up to her first tournament. So that's awesome. That's on Amazon for anyone that wants like a gift for a young girl, maybe even a young boy. I don't know. And then I have all my like tips and tricks that I just put into some like digital products. I have some digital like freebie guides for how to make sure you can make weight easily. Just some tricks that we learned with Remy, because she's always struggling to make weight. So I have a stand store where there's a bunch of like freebie guides on making weight, and like Wrestling Family Starter Pack with just some basics, because I'm also like the team mom at the club. And so when new folks come in, I always tell them what they need to get. So I have a bunch of free guides on my stand store. I think that's it. And then follow me at Real Mat Wives.
Yes. Awesome.
For the funniest person you know.
Yes.
That's funny. Yes, definitely. So we'll post this. This will be coming out hopefully on Tuesday.
Yes.
And then we can schedule a different time to meet and talk girls and freestyle and Greco. I wanted to talk
Yes.
about Greco, but we didn't have a chance.
Yes.
I want to talk about freestyle.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So we'll find a
And-
time. But thank you
and
so
for
much.
that one, you should definitely have Remy because they did, like I told you, they did that first ever like Greco for girls, like when it was, I don't even know what's the word called, when it was legit for girls last year.
They
And
like
so she
sanctioned
can-
it, right? You said
I'm sorry.
it was sanctioned like last year or something.
Thank
You
you.
said
Sanctioned is the
Yeah.
word. That's it. I'm an English teacher, but words fail me sometimes. So when it was sanctioned,
Good.
Remy competed in like the national duels, and it was the most hilarious thing. So I would love for her to share that with you guys too. She loves freestyle.
Yeah, and we love Greco. I mean, we love freestyle
I know,
too.
I'm like, we love freestyle, but we love Greco.
Yeah, so awesome. But thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll see you soon
Yes.
again.
Thank you guys
Thank
so
you
much.
so
This was so
much.
fun. I look forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.